All righty, welcome in, everybody. It is time for Three Guys Before the Game with the Senator, Brett Howe, and the Dean, Hoppy Kercheval. Thanks so much for being with us on this edition of the program. We're heading into spring ball finale. Spring game comes up on Saturday. We'll break it down. We'll talk about that. Your text questions and thoughts and comments since the last time we got together. A lot has happened. And a whole lot more. And as if you're a listener to this program, you know there's always a whole lot more. Brought to us by Burdette Camping, the only RV Forever warranty dealer in the state of West Virginia, and by the Mountaineer Athletic Club's Time to Climb campaign. We'll get into that and more coming up on our program. But, fellas, we do have a very special guest. And one of the newest members of the WVU football coaching staff, WVU defensive line coach, Andrew Jackson, joins us on the program. Coach, thanks so much for being with us, and it's great to have you on board.
No problem. Thanks for having me on, guys.
If you were to be a teacher and give a report card grade, old school, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, did they give G's?
No, I think you went a little too far.
A little too far. Give me your grade on spring practice from your perspective.
Right now, I think we're sitting at a good B+ right now.
Oh, good. That's solid, huh? That's solid.
That is solid.
That's pretty good.
Well, he's got a good group.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Coach, you got a bunch of guys. I know you lost a good one in Darius Sills, but you got a bunch of guys. Dante, Mesidor, Jalen Thornton, a bunch of names we've heard there. So you've got some options on the line, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I got a really deep room. I think that Leslie guy is crazy for giving them to me.
Hey, so, you look like a defensive lineman. So, like, you probably, when you walk, yeah, well, I know. But he looks like one as well. Some guys, as you well know, football players, once they're done playing, they normally go one way or the other. And Coach Jackson, you can attest to this, right? You've seen offensive linemen, they go one way or the other. Like, they'll play at like 295, and then when they're done playing, they do one of two things, right? They go to 182 or they go to 475, right? There's no middle ground. But now you're a picture of health. You look like a D lineman. He could take snaps right now. So anyway, when you walk into the room, they probably went like, oh, yeah, we'll listen to this guy, D lineman. If you went into the cornerback room, I think the corners would look at you and go, man, you've never backpedaled in your life. Fair statement, right?
It's a fair statement, but those guys found out quickly my muscles are full of air right now. So it's all facade.
So how do you build a relationship when you do walk into a room, pretty established room? Those guys have gotten, a good number of those guys have gotten significant snaps. What's your first priority when you walk in?
Basically recruit them. I try to find out who they are as a person, things they like, interest, what music they like, food they eat, what their extra hobbies are outside of football.
And when it came to the food question, what was the food of choice among your guys?
Everything.
Well, most of these guys like Southern food. But, I got Eddie V from Finland who was talking about eating reindeer, and that was the take in the room, but who likes venison and things like that. So.
Well,
Eddie,
Eddie. I know Eddie.
91,
no question, getting a lot of high praise this spring.
Yeah.
I was not expecting early. We're like 5 minutes in. I did not expect an eating reindeer. Did not think that was coming.
Reindeer reference early.
So we're all going to go deer hunting and cook up a nice meal of reindeer, cabbage, and potatoes.
So the heck of a difference. You got Dante Stills in there. He's just satisfied with a pepperoni roll, and then you got your guy over there, and he's talking reindeer, looking at him. What in the world? Well, that's the diversity of this thing, because I saw you on your mic'd up segment that WVU put out there, and you've got a foreign flavor in your room. Have you dealt with many foreign guys?
This is my first shot at dealing with foreign guys. I've coached a couple guys that have been on a team that have been from Canada, but I got a Canadian in Mesidor, a guy from Finland, so it's been good to hear some culture in our room.
Yeah.
Coach, you have to figure out, and have you figured out, everybody's different. You can't coach I don't think in a monolithic way. You have guidelines that apply to everybody, but, okay, this is what motivates this guy you can get after more than this guy you got to do something else. Have you gotten that sorted out yet?
Absolutely. And, there's quiet guys like Sean Martin, who's more of a conversation with. I love to yell at Dante because it stirs him up. I love to yell at Mesidor. I don't really yell at the kid from Finland because he doesn't understand what I'm saying half the time. So it's different.
Coach, what about from a strategy standpoint? We saw that this position group have such a great year last year, multiple individual really good performances, then collectively as a group. But we also saw near the end of the year some movement of pieces around the line. Is that still the plan this year, given those the variance in terms of guys that you have that you can plug in?
Absolutely. Not only are we versatile and guys can rush the passer in different ways, and we can play a multitude of fronts and stuff to stop the run game, but these guys all have very diverse skill sets, and I want to make sure that we show off all their tools.
When you spent last season at Old Dominion, you guys did not play, and as a result, obviously, because of COVID. What did you do to stay on top of the game? How did you use your time efficiently? Because coaches, let's face it, when August comes, you guys kind of break out in a hive. You have to be doing it. So what'd you do?
I spent a lot of time watching games as a fan, and then the games I liked as a fan, I would try to watch during the week and figure out what went good, what went wrong. But I try to take a step back and take a more of an appreciation from the game instead of X's and O's as much.
Yeah, that's a really good that's a good point, because it's from a coach to a fan and even from a broadcaster standpoint, it's an entirely different thing. When the game's on, you're not looking at it from that perspective. What did you learn? What did you learn by sometimes watching as a fan that maybe you didn't realize? This is a child's game played by men, and the ultimate thing is to have fun out there. Interesting.
Coach, what about Neil Brown? And we promise Brown will not listen to this, so you can say whatever you want. But, he is a hyper-organized guy. And are you that way? Did you have to get used to that? I mean, he's an 8:15, we're doing this. 9:20, we're doing this. 6:30, we're doing this. Does that fit you? Did you have to adjust to that?
Oh, I love it. I don't like guessing on where I have to be or what the expectation is. I like knowing exactly what the standard is, exactly what the rubric is, and just hit it and go.
Speaking of Neil Brown, Andrew, take us back. Walk us through how the first contact with you came, how the conversation went with Neil the first time you talked to him, and how you ended up here.
The first contact, Coach Brown asked me about myself. We didn't really talk any ball. He asked me who my mentors were. He asked me about my family. He asked me about my fiance. He asked my goals in life outside of football. He asked what I like to do interest-wise. He asked about my educational background, places I've been, things I've learned, what my strengths were, what my weaknesses were. So it was very much so like a job outside of sports would start. I felt more so than a coaching position.
What did you know about him before he made contact with you?
From Bill Leggs, who I got a chance to work with at Mississippi State, and Blake Seiler, I heard how great of a family guy he was, and how he liked to develop the players, and how he liked to establish great relationships.
So he calls you. That's kind of interesting. So you're familiar with trades like in pro sports. So you're the player to be named later in the Blake Seiler trade to Old Dominion. Is that how that thing worked?
It seems like that went that way. I never got a chance to coach with Blake, so it seems like we're never on the same team a little bit there.
Yeah. You were at James Madison 2019, correct?
Correct.
So you were here.
Yep.
You came with a season
right.
opener, a good team. Ben DiNucci.
Darn near got a win.
Yeah, Ben DiNucci's the quarterback, and I'm looking at this thing. It was 7-3 Dukes at halftime. It was 10-10 West Virginia and the Dukes after 3. And then the world champion Mountaineers scored 10 in the fourth quarter. You guys come up with a field goal. West Virginia wins 20-13, and you high-stepped. West Virginia high-stepped it out.
I don't think Andrew gets that job if he ruins Neil Brown's first game at Mountaineer Field, right? I mean, he would have seen that James Madison on your resume and said, all right, next, I'm going to the next one.
Yeah, solid point. So that was your first visit in, I'm assuming, to Mountaineer Field?
Yes, first time.
And thoughts, memories? You've been in a lot of stadiums. What was your takeaway?
Well, first thing, I'm perfectly glad that it wasn't a night game, because even an afternoon kick, this thing was loud. And I remember getting off the bus and being like, this is hostile. Y'all almost didn't let us off the bus.
Let me tell you something. You ain't seen nothing yet, because like James Madison, you might think that's hostile, but like Mountaineer fans, when James Madison comes in, go like, that's cool, James Madison. That's a nice school. We're good with that. God forbid if you came in like you were with Pitt or something like that. It'd be a whole different.
Kurt was a WVU grad,
Sure.
so I think you got the tame version of fans, I think.
Yeah.
But you want them on your side now.
Yeah. So you guys rolled a table, right? After that, you guys cooked with gas all the way through the rest of the season.
Yep. We fell short in the national championship, but it was a great season otherwise.
What'd you learn from Kirk Cignetti? Because you guys, as coaches, you always learn different stops along the way. You've been at Penn State, Fordham, Mississippi State, JMU. Where are your foundational points as a coach when you look back at it and say, I'm taking this from this and this from this? Where are you at with that?
Number one, I learned from Coach Cignetti as a young guy was you don't have to be in the office till 4 a.m. drawing up stuff.
Yeah.
Get what you can get done in an efficient manner and get what you can get done that the players can understand is number one. Number two is I think he let me go out and recruit and let me make some mistakes, let me have some success in recruiting that I've never had before. And I learned the ups and downs of that battle. And I think he understood how to manage players. You know, you can't give them all the same shake, but they all get a shake.
Coach, when you were at LIU, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you were captain for 3 years. Is that correct?
Correct.
Great. So that's unusual for a sophomore, maybe you're a redshirt sophomore, to be a captain. So is that something that leadership that came to you naturally? Is that something you sought? Where did you learn that from?
It came to me naturally. I think, my dad is the greatest guy on the earth, and I think he always did a good job of teaching me right and wrong and how to see the big picture, how to think before I speak, and how to conduct myself. And I've always been the same kind of person I am now, and I think that just teachings of my dad kind of just always came to my foremost thought, and that's how I always conducted myself.
Can you identify the moment when you said coaching is what I want to do?
Yeah, I was trying to get a job teaching, and couldn't break through. Long Island's a tough place to break through teaching, and Brian Collins gave me an opportunity. My head coach, who's still the head coach at LIU, gave me a chance to be a GA, and I went out to that first training camp, and I haven't looked back since. It was the most fun I've had since playing football.
Why is that? What do you get off from that?
Like I said, I think football is a child's game played by men, and just watching people and young kids have success, and me honestly being a young guy, and I don't think my parents would have been able to afford for me to go to school and pay for it. And athletics being the avenue of how I got an education, how I got a master's degree, how I got another master's degree. Just seeing what sports could do for people, I just fell in love with the game.
I think you have 3 master's degrees, don't you?
Correct.
Wow,
Well,
overqualified.
he got one for each of us. That'd be
right.
That's
We don't have any room on the wall in there.
Yeah,
Hey, Coach, you. I don't think we would have gone there personally, but you twice now have mentioned your fiance. So, what are your plans?
Yeah.
What
are your plans? What kind of question is that for the guy?
It's a fair question. No, it's a fair
he's
question.
engaged. You know his plans.
No, he brought it up. He brought it up.
I wouldn't have brought it up, but he did. So I want to know what the plans are, generally speaking, for his wedding.
Well, it's in a deposition. He brought it up, so he opened it up. It's like a court of law. You just gave the poor guy a court of law. Well, you brought it up, so now we're going to ask you about it.
We want to know.
To be friends with the guy, man.
Plan is.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Wait, Brad, shut up. Thank you, Coach. Go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry.
The plan is to do whatever the hell she tells me to do.
As long as it's not on a scheduled Saturday for a game, you're good to go, right?
I'm good to go.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you mentioned recruiting as well. You said that Kurt let you learn the recruiting ups and downs and how that whole thing works. What are your greatest lessons that you took away from what you're not supposed to do in recruiting? And I'm assuming just in a casual conversation that we're having here, you're a gregarious guy. You can build relationships. You are probably going to be really good at convincing folks to play at your school, in this case at WVU. What was the biggest misstep that you made in recruiting early?
Just chasing. You have to do early homework on guys, recruit guys of character, and recruit guys that fit into your program from a player standpoint and a culture standpoint. All those things matter.
Tony mentioned a little bit ago your career path and the number of places you've been. So when it comes to recruiting, what's the biggest challenge when you land in a new spot? And it's not like you have 4 months here to get up and running at that place before you start making calls and sending texts. What's the biggest challenge recruiting-wise when you take over in a new job?
Is establishing those same relationships I was trying to establish with my players, is establish the guys that we have on the board.
All right. So with that being said, you're a Long Island guy, New York State guy. Give us your assessment of selling the Flying WV as you go out there. I'm assuming you're going to go out toward that direction among other parts. What's your mindset recruiting here for WVU?
Just sell the history of this place and where we're going. 2019, Coach Brown's first year here, wasn't the best year, but we're climbing towards that direction we want to go. Had a number-1 defense last year, looking to build on that. And, some of the successful players they had in this program have come from the Northeast.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Now, are you familiar with Canute Curtis?
Yes.
Okay, the Amityville Whore. We used to call him the Amityville Whore, as you well know there on Long Island. And obviously Amos Zaraway, and we can go all the way to Rashawn Vanderpool, and we could just build a long, long list of guys. You've sold different schools. What was your first recollection as a kid growing up of West Virginia football? This always makes us feel super old, but can you recall a player, or can you recall a game when you saw that Flying WV and said, oh, that's kind of neat. Who are those guys?
Not in a particular game, but it was actually in basketball when the first time I saw Kevin the Pitsnoggle in the Garden at the Big East tournament.
Yeah.
That was the first guy I've ever seen with tattoos like that and just had that look like he's going to give you hell underneath the hoop for about 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's awesome. We just got a football coach giving a Pitsnoggle reference.
Yeah,
that's perfect, right?
Yeah,
that's a good answer.
I tell you
right?
what,
Pitts he stood out.
That was a run.
He did stand out.
That was certainly true. He was an early, as we say in the business, Andrew. He was an early adopter to the tattoo world.
Hey, Coach,
and a stretch five. There weren't stretch fives at that time, right? Which is commonplace.
No, he could bang with you and shoot threes. It was like, this guy's different.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, now and I'm sure you've watched some Big 12 football, a lot of Big 12 football is, how those offenses are in the Big 12, although the defenses were better last year than they have been. But they throw it down the field. You got to score 35 points a game. You feel pressure then on that defensive front because of what they do with the offenses in the Big 12?
Absolutely, and it's no different than any league I've been in. You always feel like it starts up front because that's line of scrimmage does matter, and that's where games are won and lost. So there's always that pressure, whether you're looking to hold a shutout or whether you're looking to just get off the field in some of these games or shootouts. So, it's always starts up front.
Schemes are schemes, but things are done a little bit differently. West Virginia, as you know, does some things that other teams will come back and say West Virginia does a lot of unique things. Have you been associated with a defense kind of the way that West Virginia plays it scheme-wise?
Never, and that's the beauty of being able to opportunity to take this job was I'm learning so much from Coach Leslie and these guys here. It's been great. It's been a great new challenge for myself.
Schematically, what is it that West Virginia does that does make them unique compared to others?
We do everything. We're a jack of all trades. I wouldn't say we're a master of none, but we can make anything fit our defense, whether it's 3 down, 4 down, 4-2-5, bear. We could do it all and make it make sense to the kids, I think, is the beauty of it.
So given that and given what we just talked about a little bit ago, that you can move some pieces around with some of this specific personnel, ideally, as you get into the fall here, how many guys would you like to rotate in along the line?
I would like to play between 8 and 9 guys. I don't necessarily think it looked like hockey where we'd be seeing guys flying over the wall to get in the game, but I like to play a lot of guys. There's a lot of snaps in these games in this league.
Are you there yet? Are you at the 8 or 9 yet that you're comfortable with?
Not yet, but we're building that way. That's that B+ right now is because we got a training camp to keep improving.
So West Virginia is a new thing for you. This is a unique state, and unfortunately, because of COVID, we're not popping around the state and doing the caravans and things like that. What was your perception of West Virginia before you got here? What's your perception after a very small sample size here? You've only been here for 4 months now. What did you think it was, and what have you seen that maybe surprised you?
I thought it was mostly all woods, and I did not know that there was quite the Italian food establishments here. me being a New York guy, so I'm glad I can get good pizza and pasta here. So that was a huge plus.
Yeah.
What do you, Coach? You said when Coach Brown interviewed you, he talked a lot about you and your interests outside of football. So what are they? I mean, football takes up a lot of time, but we're not doing football. And what kind of things do you like to do?
I like to work out. Obviously, you guys are tinted on that one. I just got a Traeger smoker, so I'm been into that.
Oh, did you?
Nice.
So you're a wood pellet guy, huh?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so wait.
So
now
we
when-
can probably get in on when you have the D-line guys over. Are we de facto D-line? Can we just kind of slide in there?
So this
get a
is
little Traeger.
Yeah, this is good.
Absolutely. I got Tony's number now, so we're
Yeah,
good to
deal.
go.
Yeah. So
Sweet.
did you have you popped it open yet? So have you been working with it?
Oh yeah, I've been working with it. I've tried everything except fish so far. I've been
really?
on there, pork butt. I've had brisket, steaks, you name it.
Okay.
Is that an all-day thing, though?
No,
Like, is it?
no.
Like you got to get.
Depends. You got to time out your day right.
Yeah. He's at the cutting edge here of grilling. This is that.
Clearly.
This is that pellet. This is that wood pellet. There are some people. There's a conversation in the food world going on right now. Do you go conventional? Do you go charcoal? Do you go with the wood pellets? Back and forth. That's a strong move, Coach, on your part. So
It's a good thing he came with this late in the interview because if he would have started here,
Oh,
we would have
yeah.
got no football
Yeah.
information.
Hey, Coach Tony that's all Tony does is cook. And he's a big food guy, so you two get together. You'll just talk about.
well,
cooking.
so tell me about the brisket.
There you go.
How long did you go with? What did it come out like for in your opinion? Have you cooked anything in there yet where you took it out and you went like, oh my goodness, this is unbelievable?
My second shot at ribs was awesome. I got the wrap just correct. I got a nice tight fold on my wrap, and I think it made it great. My first brisket, I couldn't serve to wild dogs.
Really?
Terrible. Yeah, it was
Tough.
tough. My bark was too strong. It was, you know what happened to me was I cooked it too late and the temperature dropped at night. And it was terrible.
You know what they say? All bark, no bite. That's what they say.
Yep.
So here's what I'm going to do. Here, we can't pay you for coming on because of name, image, likeness. We're still waiting for that to be. We're still waiting for that to be fixed. So as a result, not to commit any kind of coaching violation, I tell you what I am going to do. Okay, there's a Morgantown native who lives outside, but he comes back here a lot. He's a world barbecue champion. His name is Luke Darnell. Multiple world champions. He's done it in ribs. He's done it in chicken. He's done it the whole thing. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to get hooked up, me, you, and Luke, and we will have a time, and he will teach you some things that you will high step your way into the Barbecue Hall of Fame.
Fantastic. Can't wait.
Yeah, you got a deal. We get a deal. That's the deal. All right. Andrew Jackson, thank you so very much for joining us, buddy. We do appreciate it and wish you the very, very best.
Awesome. Can't wait to meet you guys in person.
All right, you got a deal. There
Thank
he
you,
is.
Coach.
Thanks so much. There he is. Wow, I'm strange.
Hungry now.
I'm hungry.
Did you,
Yeah, I'm starving.
have you guys been aware of this ongoing
What?
dilemma in the barbecue world? Some people are now pushing the pellet stronger than, like, for example, the green egg. You know the green egg.
Sure,
right?
Yeah, I
very,
know
very
the
popular green egg.
So
Love
some
to
people,
talk
like
about
the
green
big
egg.
thing they have these battles like, do I go with the egg? Do I go with the wood pellets?
No, I'm not that
And then there are
granular
people
on it,
going,
no.
and I had a guy come at me today and said, you know what? I'm just going to go wood-fired oven, outdoor wood-fired oven. So there's a lot of things out there, a lot of different options. I commend his honesty,
Yeah.
saying that first brisket,
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah,
bad
very
situation.
transparent there with his
Very
food
bad
prep.
situation,
Yeah.
but you know now, as he said, he's serious when he went like, my wrap on my ribs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a guy.
I don't even know what that
is.
is.
Well, you put your marinade on there, and you whatever you want to do. You want to rub them, whatever, and then you really have to seal them really, really well so that
Oh.
juice and all that smoke stays in there while it's cooking. And he had some aeration that was going on there, but the second time he clamped them down. Kind of like that nose guard. He just kind of gets that center, just kind of holds them up and doesn't let
Gets his
anything.
hands inside, right? Got
Hands
some
inside,
inside
he
leverage.
can't move. It's the same thing with those ribs. You can't let those ribs shake out of there.
I see the analogy.
Yeah. So, boys, we got a spring game on Saturday.
How about that?
His position group's really interesting here.
Yeah.
There's some guys. I mean, you start to go down that list of names that you've heard, and listen, just start with Sills and Mesidor.
Yeah.
Right there. That's pretty good. If you're Andrew Jackson, you roll in, you look at the room, and you look at the tape, and you got those two returning,
Yes.
That's a good
That's a
start.
pretty good start.
Yes, it is.
That's a pretty good start for that group.
So a ton of interesting things with that group and with that room. If you remember, a couple of years plus ago now, when Neil Brown came in, what were the first two areas that they were going to build? This is where we're starting. We're doing offensive line and we're doing defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things. And now, 2+ years in, you can make the case on both of those fronts, no pun intended, that they're getting there.
Mhm.
They are getting there. And on defense and on that defensive line, this will be really super interesting because you do lose Darius Stills. Big-time loss. However, Akeem Mesidor showed last year. They put 20 pounds on him.
Oh.
And now he can play on the top of that center's head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very problematic.
Or can move him if you need to.
If you need to.
I have a feeling Dante's in for a big year. You know, if you look at his underlying stats last year, he was a guy, I don't know that we talked enough about Dante Stills because Darius and Mesidor, and rightfully so, were kind of overwhelmed the room right there. Dante had a really good year. You go back to those PFF stats, we look at it every week. He was really highly graded. It feels to me as if he's ready to have a breakout, right? I mean, this is his last go-around. He's ready to make a name. It's just him. It's not Stills' brothers anymore. It's just Dante. It feels like he could have a big year. I'm interested to watch him this year.
I was talking to Jordan Leslie earlier today, and basically that's what he said. He said that he has taken that step. If you would read between the lines in the past when they would talk about Dante, what would they say? He's got all the potential, and what they didn't say, but you could hear him saying it was, doesn't play 100 miles per hour every single snap. Fair?
Mm-hmm.
But now I think he's at that point where it's just coming, and they're going like, okay, now we got the package.
And it would seem to me now, if you're him, and we've heard this before. I can remember Anthony Beck getting up at the old football banquet out at Lakeview. Remember the old school Morgantown Touchdown Club, the banquets back there?
Sure.
I can remember him getting up and talking about, it was really an impassioned speech. It wasn't just one of those cookie cut. I mean, you could tell Beck right then, all right, he got a chance here. He got a chance to do something. Because he got up and it didn't matter that anybody was in the room outside of that football team, and he was talking to the rest of the team. And I remember him getting really emotional talking about, you guys have no idea how fast this goes. You freshmen and sophomores are sitting there thinking you have your whole career in front of you, and all of a sudden you're going to look up and you're going to be me standing up here giving the goodbye speech. You got to go now. You got to get it together. And sometimes that doesn't hit guys until right now, right? Senior year, and you look up and you go, my God, this is my last spring practice.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty soon Dante's going to get, this is my last fall practice, and you've got to go. So it feels like this is his time to really go.
Players always say the same thing. They always say, I can't believe blank. I can't believe this is my final year. I can't believe it's almost over. And it does happen very quickly. And one of the reasons is they're always busy. They're always doing something. It's game, practice, workout, spring game. And then before you know, and when you're busy like that, time goes faster. So that's what happens.
2 more notes on the line. Interested to see what Sean Martin can give you. Will we get to see him in there? Right? Talented. What is he now? We always screw this up on what year. So is he a true freshman again?
Yes.
Right?
True freshman.
I don't even know what year anybody is anymore.
Doesn't matter.
He has 4 years of eligibility remaining.
That's probably
So
the way to say it.
Just call people players now. Don't even give a year. Just
Well,
look at
Hoppy,
players.
did you hear, like we had this conversation earlier, like how do you determine eligibility anymore? The old system used to be freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, or he's a redshirt junior, he's a redshirt senior, whatever. Now you had a frozen year of eligibility, right? And you potentially could redshirt. So, for example, we were talking about Nick Malone.
Yes.
So Nick Malone, he's from the high school. He's over at the high school, Hoppy, right behind us.
The
here.
high school.
Over at the high school. And so he redshirted. See if I get this straight. He redshirted.
Uh-huh.
He played a little.
Last year.
And now he comes back. So it's his, third year, but it's his first year.
Here's how I would identify it, is I would flip it over.
See, this is what I said.
And I wouldn't say redshirt this. I would say he has blank years of
what
eligibility
we
I
left.
said. So
That
shocked
would-
that we're on the
that-
same page.
That's what we came to.
Now, I do think, though, that's a hard switch to make. I don't think we're going to get a lot of buy-in on that because we're going to have to translate every time somebody else says that. So I also think the other way to go, Hop, you just have to revert back to what they were last year. So Zach Frazier this year is a true freshman. He's a true freshman because last year did not count for Zach Frazier.
There could be some merit to that.
Well, but
You're not going to get everybody to change the whole system and go with this, though, on that.
but we can, and that's what Tony should do, because that tells you what's ahead.
I know, but it's a lengthier explanation. It's an
I see.
To say now let's talk a little bit about Zach Frazier, who has 4 years remaining and still has.
No. How about
Instead of just saying Zach Frazier,
no,
freshman Zach Frazier.
No,
I
but
can get there with one word the old way.
You can, but it's somewhat misleading. Say Zach Frazier, who's got 3 years left.
4.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
See? Here we go. That's my point.
Or just call them players. Zach Frazier will
Hoppy,
be here until he's not.
Hoppy, they're not players. They're student athletes.
I'm sorry.
They're student athletes.
But the time remaining is important. The eligibility remaining is
because
important.
the other stuff isn't relevant, right?
No, I don't care if they're a COVID freshman, redshirt freshman. I don't care about it. I just want to know where we are in the cycle, the life cycle of the player.
Well, then you and I agree.
I know, but I do think that gets clunky to say it.
Well, but it's not terrible unless you're making a point about their future. How relevant is it? Now, if they're a first-year player, Tony, you can say they're a first-year player.
Okay, here's how it gets real relevant, real tricky quickly. Because if you want to talk offensive line, right? We've talked a bunch about this, and I think the offensive line is really intriguing this year. But let's start to go down this. What the heck is Gamitter? What's Frazier? What's Brandon Yates? You got Jordan White mixed in that might be a redshirt sophomore. I don't know what he is. You're bringing Wyatt Milam in. And the conversation around offensive line, here's where it's really relevant. I think that line's going to be fun to watch this year, right? You get a bunch of parts, all those West Virginia guys. Doug Nestor's transferred in. What's Nestor? He's transferred, maybe redshirted once at Virginia Tech. He got last year's frozen. I don't know what he is. And then you go to Hoppy. Next year, all those guys are back. And now Milam's in his set. So as you start to point to, I'm already going around here to 2022. I want to look at this offensive line. But who's back? How many years? Where are we?
We might be belaboring this point a bit, but this will be the final thought on it. So you have 5 years to play for pre-COVID. Okay. So let's just take Wyatt Milam, for example. When he comes in this season, do you call him Wyatt Milam a 5-year eligible player because he can still take a red shirt and conceivably be in Morgantown for 5 years, but he only can play for 4?
See, but
so what do you call it? Answer the question. What would you call him?
With Milam, it reverts back to what it was before.
Well, you can't go numbers and then go you gotta.
This is my point. There's no good way to do it because Milam reverts back because there's no confusing, weird frozen year. Frazier and a Yates and a Nick Malone are the confusing ones. Milam's just going to revert back, and we're going to be on to freshmen and redshirt freshmen, and we move forward. The guys that were here last year, that's where it gets weird. That's where I'm confused.
Yeah.
What's Parker Moore? What's he? Is he a redshirt freshman? Is he a redshirt sophomore? I'm not talking about Parker Moore in a little bit. I don't know what year he is. I don't know what year any of these guys are.
Okay, let me ask you this. If you knew that he had 3 more years to play, what would you call him?
Sophomore.
You would go sophomore. You
sophomore, junior, senior.
So you're not using the number system at all.
I can't.
Well, can you say he's an academic sophomore?
No, I'm certainly not going classroom with anything here. No classroom involvement.
Then freshman, sophomore, junior then has no relevance. It has to do only with years of eligibility remaining.
And then you have to say if they haven't used a transfer year, he's transfer eligible. He's transfer eligible.
No, you don't have to say that because
he's a third-year junior who's transfer eligible.
No, just deal with that when it comes up.
3 Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Burdette Camping Center. Visit them at burdettecamping.com. They are the only RV warranty forever provider in the state of West Virginia. Check them out, burdettecamping.com. And a super special get well soon to Zach over at Burdette Camping. He has had a massive battle with COVID and hospitalized, ICU. He's out of ICU now, but we wish those guys and we wish Zach, who's a huge Mountaineer fan, the very, very best. Also, if you're listening to this before Saturday is over, $25,000 donation has been put in front of the Mountaineer Athletic Club's Time to Climb campaign. If they can gain 100 new donors to Time to Climb, which costs you $251 a year, $21 a month. They get 100 new ones before the end of the day Saturday. Someone's going to give them $25,000 extra. You can check it out and sign up by going to WVU2climb.com. That's WVU2climb.com.
By the way, this weekend is the run, the Mountaineer Challenge.
You're involved in that, aren't you?
Sure. I got my wife and I got our shirts and already got our medals. Got them in the mail.
Are you going to run it? Or are you going to?
Oh, we'll run it.
The football coach is running in it. I talked to him a little bit this week. He got a little bit late start.
Uh-oh.
Seemed to
late training start?
Late training start, and when I saw him, he looked a bit. I'm not going to say disheveled, but it looked fatigued. I said, "What's up?" It was a Zoom thing. I said, "What's up, man?" He said, "Like, I forgot it was so soon, and now I'm just because like he's probably looking at times, and he knows that Dan Stratford, the soccer coach last year, went off like Kip Kano, and." Probably before your time.
Nice Kip Kano reference.
That's more me and Hoppy. Yeah. He went out there like Kip Kano, and like now Neil's probably got like time embarrassment that if Stratford goes out there and runs that thing in about like 19 minutes. That
if you start at the north end of the stadium,
yeah,
and you run to the Coliseum and run around the Coliseum and run back to the stadium, it's 3 miles. That covers you.
That's very well done.
Got it mapped
out. Tony, I don't know if you caught that. Did you catch Kercheval there? The attempted slide in? Did you catch it?
What did he do?
When you were talking about that?
All right, he did.
Kercheval gave you, well, it's only 3 miles. It was a nice little humble brag there by Kercheval.
He took a shot at Neil?
Well, I don't know if it was at Neil. I think it was at everybody that doesn't run 3 miles. I mean, he just gave you the only 3 miles.
Well, he just gave you. He used to be a big runner. He used to be a big runner.
The first thing that goes is your legs.
I'm impressed you still run.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, your age? I mean,
it's unbelievable.
I mean, there's a lot of guys stroking. They're getting people to help them. So, beside the spring game this weekend, I think the baseball team will be playing. They're on the road this weekend, and women's soccer tournament. They're getting ready to go with that.
Anything else?
Let me think here.
Other big events coming up on the calendar?
Oh yeah, boar hunt. Oh yeah, I got a boar. That's right. Just another boar hunt for me on this weekend. Just another boar hunt for me
this weekend with cameras. How many shots have you got up pre-hunt?
He hasn't shot over.
He has. Yeah, he has.
Oh, he has?
I think that's the sneaky stat here. I think my prediction is that he's been going somewhere and working on this, trying to get an advantage. But he wouldn't tell us that. That's my guess. Am I right or wrong? Answer the question.
Incorrect. I haven't taken a shot.
Really?
0.
Ooh.
0.
I give you props.
I'm surprised by
Straight up. Yeah.
Because you talked. Now, I guess we got to. Depends on whether Brad and I give you some latitude on this now. Because the boar's not going to be.
No.
The boar's not going to be charging at you. Well, I guess it could be.
You don't know.
But you are following up and doing it. You are doing it. So credit to you for backing up your talk with at least going to do it.
Okay, stop with that. Because here's what's about to happen, and here's why there's no leeway given.
Okay.
Because that was very nice of you. That was a nice olive branch you tried to extend after months of haggling about this. But here's the problem with what you just did.
Okay.
He's not going to reciprocate. He's going to come in here on the next show yelling, screaming, telling us how great he was, tell us how brave he was, how good a shot he is. There will be no backing down from him whatsoever. So you can extend the olive branch all you want. I am not. If the thing's not charging at him and he's not in peril, this does not count. This is great that he's doing it. It's a wonderful cause. I will not give an inch on what the original thing was, that it had to be charging at him. He said he wanted to be in danger and his shins were in jeopardy. If not, then that is a wonderful event. Doesn't qualify for where this started. You can extend a branch. I'm not.
Couple of things.
Foot was on the line, right?
Couple of things. Firstly, this isn't about me.
It absolutely is about you.
No, this isn't about me. This is about the people we're going to help.
Which that's great.
This is about the people we're going to help. This organization goes out and helps military folks, military veterans, gets them back into the outdoors after situations with PTSD, and we'll make money, and we'll support that because the money that's raised allows these folks to take other people out to do this. So,
which is awesome. Which by the way, listeners have already donated to.
Yes, they have.
From before, been great. Our listeners have been great.
There's a dude from D.C. I remember he said if I did get, he already gave money, and Burdette Camping's been unbelievable. They've made unbelievable donations and will continue donations for a long, long time.
I'm going to give you a check. I'm going to give you a check.
Well, thank you. So to me, I'm doing this.
That's all great.
I'm doing this for that.
Great.
And not pig is going to have to go down. But other than that, other than the pig, everyone else is going to win in this situation. Other than the hog, the pig's the only thing that's not going to win in this situation. So it's not about me, guys.
Yeah.
And
nice try.
I would also say to you,
Nice try.
since
Two,
all of
two
these
things can happen at once. It can be a wonderful cause,
True.
and it's going to be a great benefit to that group. And you cannot live up to what this originally was intended to do. Both of those things can be true.
Tony, he's not giving any ground, man.
you're the one that creates. I can guarantee you that you'll never be able to go back to any of our past shows and say, I want that thing to run at my shins. I've never once said that.
You absolutely talked about it charging you.
No,
You,
this is what
you
I
said,
said.
I want to hunt something that can come after me.
Very good. There's one word you just said.
Yeah.
Can.
Oh, see, look, he's bailing out already.
No, I'm being
This
serious.
thing's going to be like
Definition of
sleeping in the corner
is.
or walking away here. He is already bailing, and because he's going to get a sleeping hog and come back in here like he's Joe Hunter here.
Hey, would it be
Right
bad?
now, they're drugging the pig.
Right, that's a good point. It
Hey,
might be drugged.
Would it be bad if it is sleeping? You're not supposed to do it if it's sleeping?
No.
You think it? Will there be like a
And
test on the
I'll
pig?
tell you this.
Does the pig have Dimetap in it? That's
It
what
was-
they're gonna.
I mean, I want you yelling at the pig. I want you charging the pig. I want you to do something to incite the pig. Or this just, I mean, it's a great story. It doesn't count. Doesn't count. And I will say again, final point on this. I will say again, we didn't bring this to you. Kercheval and I didn't sit around and say, hey, I tell you what, the next three guys, let's go at him about a boar hunt. I don't think he can take down a boar. We were just sitting here innocently, ready to talk about some advanced stats in basketball, and you brought out something about wanting to be in a hunt where it could attack you.
No, I think
This
the
is on
topic-
you.
What happened was the topic turned to like hunting and like animals, and I said I've never had a great desire to shoot something that's just kind of walking around out there like a deer. I said, however, I would like to shoot something that could run at me. That's how it started.
How do you interpret that?
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go shoot at something that could run at
That's
me.
going to be walking around. Take the first sentence there. The thing's going to just be walking around.
We don't know that.
No, it was implied that it was running at you because then I made the joke about your shins. We all laughed. So that was implied.
Shoot in the air when he
And you were going to fall down and shoot in the air.
I can't wait for it. I want to see how it looks. Hey, you guys think you're interested in how this thing goes? I'm even more interested than you guys are. I'm more interested than you are to see how this thing plays out. I can't wait.
Hey, seriously, be safe, man, because you have not held a gun.
What?
No, I mean,
understand.
I'm deadly
Yeah,
serious.
good
I'm
advice.
deadly serious.
Be careful.
What? No,
Be
wait
careful.
a second.
What can
do
go
you-
wrong?
what do
A
you think?
thousand things.
No,
I
no, I'm
mean,
not saying nothing could go wrong, but like I'm not going to be out there like jacking around. I won't feel comfortable out there because I will feel like I'm here. This is my comfort zone. I'm not going out there to do anything stupid.
Do you know what you're wearing? Do you have clothes?
They're going to be provided. The guy said he's going to get me something.
Somebody's good. Perfect.
Yeah.
Somebody knows what they're doing is getting you
Yeah.
the proper gear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We may be open for sponsorships. name, image, likeness. We
be
could
like
put something on
NASCAR.
it.
Have a lot.
I should have like all three guys' stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I've
Yeah.
got three guys' T-shirt over my
Well, maybe. We don't
When's
know
the,
how it's
when's the
gonna
video
go.
going to be available?
I have no idea. They're making it into a show.
A show?
Yeah. 30-minute show.
This is good. This is good.
Please let it charge him. Please let it come in. I mean, I don't want you to get hurt. I want one of the pros to step in when the thing snarls and shows you its teeth and starts coming. I want one of the pros to step in and handle it and protect you, but I would like it running at you.
If they have a mic on me, I need to sign off like I have absolute control of what's said.
What do
Because
you
there
mean?
might be a word or two that you don't want, they need to take stuff out. Like if it does start running at you.
Or perhaps when it runs at you and you defecate yourself.
And we're assuming there's just one. What if there's what if he comes upon multiple?
A herd, a group of pigs.
Yeah, what if I come back and say I got 3 of them?
Oh yeah, that's going to happen. I killed 3 pigs.
Let's just work
Let's
on the
just
one.
go. Let's just go. Be safe. Come home.
Right.
Raise
I
some,
think
raise some money for a good charity.
You know what? That is the greatest thing. Like if I can just pull back into my driveway, it's a win.
Raise some money for the guys. Pull back in your driveway. It's a good day.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
From the text line, Tony and Brad, awesome show with Blaine Stewart. However, one major question that should have been asked but wasn't. What is Mike Tomlin really like? Nobody asked him about Tomlin, who I think is a fascinating character. Would have loved to get Blaine's perspective on that. Oh, well.
Well, he was okay by Bill Stewart, and if he's okay by Bill Stewart,
Yeah, man, yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. Should have.
he's
Not
always
for
cool on the sideline. I'll tell you that.
not for public airing, but
Not for public hearing.
I asked a question. Don't put it on public. Then he updated it. Okay. I don't normally watch TikToks, but someone shared this with me, and I thought Tony might want to see what he might be getting himself into, and that's everyone's got a boar that runs at people and hurts people and things like that. They thought maybe that could scare me away. Didn't happen.
But it didn't happen.
Didn't happen. Blaine Stewart episode was top 5, one of a handful to bring tears to my eyes. Thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. From listening to your show in Sportsline, I've learned that we won a national championship in basketball in 1942. My friends all say that's not true, and you find nothing when you Google it.
It is true.
It seems the national championship never really gets recognized like some of the other teams have. Perhaps you could do a show in the off-season on this so guys like me can verify the title and those players can be remembered. Thank you. So, yeah, in 1942, the basketball national championship was the NIT and not the NCAA. The NCAA had not grown to what it is today, so the NIT was considered the national championship. And that's, just look it up, NIT 1942, West Virginia University, that was the national championship.
Coach Dyke Racey.
Coach Dyke Racey, and all of the players were from West Virginia. And within the last couple of months, there has been a canister of film. Did I tell you this, Hop?
You told me, but I didn't see it. Have you got
Yes, it came back. There's a canister of film of West Virginia's first game in the 42 NIT.
Oh.
Like usable, you can see it?
We'll see it as plain as day.
Where did you
about
find
that?
that?
Someone had it. I don't know where it came from. So sent away. It was digitized, and you watched it. And
Is it just like one shot of the whole thing?
it's one camera, but it's very clear. You can watch it
Really?
play, and it was better than I thought it would be. I thought it would be, kind of like how Babe Ruth used to run.
And it looks like it's kind of sped up, right? Little choppy stuff, like kind of sped up, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not that. I mean, funny stuff. I mean, the officials look funny. The way they make their calls, very over the top type of a call.
They're making wrong calls.
Yeah, there was a
block charge.
There was.
Block charge.
There was a block charge. There absolutely was a block charge. And while I was watching, that's terrible. That's terrible. Terrible. What are you doing? It's 80 years ago. You can't make that call. Anyway.
You don't make that call then.
So when West Virginia would initiate its offense, a 2-guard front, one of the guards, like when he would pass it over to the wing, every time he passed it, he like real dainty, he'd always pass it behind his back. And I went like,
really?
Oh, look at that fanciness.
A lot of motion offense.
I don't know what they were doing. But, Dyke Racey always used to say he was pounded his guys to pass the ball.
Right.
And they did pass the ball.
Well, good. Ball movement, right?
Yeah,
That's
they
good.
They had ball movement.
That
so,
stood the test of time. Move the ball.
Yeah. So, Texter, we can certainly jump into that more, but that was really neat.
Dyke had some, passed away, of course, but he had some great stories about going up to New York, and he could tell a great story.
Unbelievable story about when he got there, right? The gamblers kept calling the rooms to try to get the kids to throw the games.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, if you throw the game, we'll pay you this. Yeah. Help me. And they didn't drive it. They didn't take a train. They didn't take a bus. They drove up in cars. Hey, guys. Mason and Mineral. This is more of a serious text, but I want to send my condolences to Bob Huggins and his whole family after the passing of his father. Yes, absolutely. I talked to Huggs yesterday, and obviously his dad was legendary in basketball coaching circles in the state of Ohio, and dealing with it. And the family was there, and he had broken his hip recently. And went into a coma, and that was the end of it.
He was how old?
87?
7.
87 or 88. 87. I think it was 87. Good evening, guys. Just finished watching Three Guys with Blaine Stewart. What an awesome interview. Being a lifelong Steelers fan, I couldn't be more proud to have him out here on their coaching staff. Blaine's a great representative of the sport, and let's get honest, I loved his dad and his professional demeanor. Rest in peace, Coach Stu.
That was a fun episode.
Yeah, it was good.
So Stu had Tomlin at VMI. No, yes.
Yes.
Mike Tomlin
He
played
played
for
at
Stu.
VMI, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Blaine's been there. What did we say? Blaine's going into his fourth year now with
Fourth
the
year.
Steelers?
This will be his fourth year on staff. Fourth year on staff, and he is 26. Going to be 26 in September?
That's a good start.
Something
for
like
him.
that, 26, 20, going to be 27. He's 26. He's a baby. Still a baby. Think about that. So before he's 30, right, he can have more, so what would that be, like 7-8 years in the league before you're 30 years old?
You would think, too, that you can parlay that, right?
Oh,
I mean, once you break through that barrier, that you can,
He's through the barrier. That was the hardest part, was getting the first one and staying around, and now it really opens up. I mean, he can stay in the league because we've seen that. Once you're an NFL assistant, you can stay in the league, especially coming from the Steelers tree, especially coming from Tomlin, who's been there so long, just got a 3-year extension as well. But you're also open to college jobs, right? We see that all the time. When you go in and interview for a college, was that right? Yeah, been in the league for 6-7 years. Yeah, I can handle this. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're exactly right, and you're exactly. I mean, those guys play chess, right? And everyone else is playing checkers. Yeah. So from that standpoint, from the scheme standpoint,
did you just do? Was that right? Coach for Steelers. Might have heard of him. Super Bowl.
Black and gold. Might have heard.
Mike Tomlin. You ever heard of him?
Won a few Super Bowls. Mountaineer basketball before we go away. Got a couple since the last time we got together. Transfer portal has produced fruit.
It has 3 total guys, but the most recent great name, Polycap.
Yeah.
Right. Transferring in most recently at DePaul. It to me, it's interesting what the portal has returned here.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think you got to return to a defensive-minded West Virginia program in store coming next year. You've got a couple guys in Kerrigan that came earlier and Polycap now that are really defensive guys first. Polycap will get you some buckets, but it'll really be on offensive rebounds is where he does his most damage offensively. But you get Kerrigan, a good shot blocker. You get Polycap that was really good against interior defense post-ups. Guys only shot 40% against him there. I think you've got some defensive-minded bigs. And this may be a return back to, hey, you got to get this defense shored up. Or back to Bob Huggins, what Bob Huggins' teams look like. I think we might be headed back in that direction.
I think you're right, because what happened when he brought in Press Virginia? What was he unbelievably PO'd about? Inability to play defense.
Mm-hmm.
So what did he say? He said, I'm going back to what I do. And while they had a very successful season and did extremely well, you know that every time they didn't defend, it was just like unbelievable internal pain on his part. So I guarantee you, he got together with Zay and goes, here's what we're going to do, boys. We're going to go out and we're going to defend again. We're going to go defend again. And you're going to still have some offensive guys, and you don't know what this roster is going to be. I mean, who knows?
Still fluid.
Unbelievably fluid. And Deuce is the linchpin to it all.
Mm-hmm.
What is Deuce going to do? If Deuce goes away,
That's
it's
devastating.
unbelievable, because when you start to think about it, just from a continuity and consistency standpoint, you've lost Emmett, you've lost Jordan, right? You lose Deuce, and your leadership vacuum gets really big, because you've got to have someone stabilize it. The teams that have the most success as the seasons go on and when you get into tournament play are what? The teams that are the tightest and the closest and that have been through it. You look at Baylor, you look at Gonzaga, those guys were unbelievably tight. The concern, not for West Virginia alone, but for everybody, is all of this wheeling and dealing on this transfer portal and all of these new, there's just this inevitable period of adjustment that comes in that you're not merged tight together. You have to have time to do that. And I know that absolutely is opposing to what we're into right now with this unrestricted free agency, but you've got to have a nucleus to begin with. And West Virginia's nucleus will be determined this coming season by whether or not Deuce is here.
And so if Deuce returns, think of what you have now, because now I think you have a little more of a team that can do things at both ends when you mix guys in. You have Deuce that's going to be an elite scorer. When you need a basket, go get it. theoretically McNeil back, right? So there's your outside shooter. I think Jalen Bridges has the opportunity to take a big step forward offensively. So that's pretty good offensive firepower right there. That doesn't look like last year's team in terms of getting buckets, but those are 3 guys that can score at a really high level if you get Deuce back. And then you can mix in Curry, the Old Dominion point guard that has come in, and now you're not depending on him to score, but he can mix in. Now you mix in those defensive bigs that we talk about, and you have a shot blocker, and you have some help defensively to go with that offensive firepower. But if suddenly Deuce is gone, that's a massive piece. And if he's gone, that's because he's going to the NBA. And he's either a high second round or late first round pick. That's a heck of a hit if that happens.
Totally agree. Also, shout out to Darius Nichols. Congratulations to D. Nice for getting a head coaching job at Radford University. Really look forward to see what he is going to do, and hopefully he'll have a great run. And by taking that job, he puts himself in position down the road for the West Virginia job. We've been kind of waiting, right? We've been kind of waiting. You've got to have a farm system set up. And for years before Huggs got here, Huggs was in that pipeline like, this thing works. It might work. This might work. But let's face it, since Huggs has been here, as you look down the road to who's the next guy after Huggs, there isn't that guaranteed guy that has that West Virginia connection. Like when Don Nealon was ready to go, everyone said, Rich. It's Rich. He's made the rounds. He's done this. He's done that. To be Rich's position. You haven't had that in basketball. And who knows when that time will come, when we could be years from it. But at least you put some people into the hopper to put themselves in position to eventually head back this way.
Yeah, because you have 2. I mean, we talked a lot about Zach Spiker this year, who had success leading Drexel back to the tournament for the first time in 25 years. Morgantown guy, WVU grad. We talked about that on Beeline staff. So you got Zach out there. Now you got Darius in a great spot. He's going home. That's a chance for him to go win some games and then take the next step. Most of the connections are really at the Division II level. I mean, you go through the Mountain East Conference, and almost every one of those coaches has some connection to WVU. But yeah, at the Division I level, it's Darius and it's Zach right now.
In a perfect world, you hire a guy who's been a head coach and a guy that's gotten teams to the tournament and hasn't just got there but does it with regularity. Those are things, and that's not even a guarantee. That doesn't mean you're on. Look at Steve Prohm at Iowa State, right? He had a great run at Murray, right? At Murray. Now, does he play middle? Does Murray play middle?
I think so.
Yeah. That doesn't guarantee you're going to have success. At least it just puts you in position.
Archie Miller. Went to Indiana, right? That's exactly the profile you want to hire. Didn't work.
Yeah, Dayton. He was at Dayton, won a ton of games. Said, okay, it's guaranteed he's going to do it. No, it doesn't.
So it's not an end-all, be-all, but you would prefer to have the comfort of that experience behind you.
And then because West Virginia is unique, you'd love to have someone in a perfect world understand West Virginia. Not to say that you have to, but it just helps to have a lay of the land.
It does. That can be overvalued.
I don't disagree with you. Don't disagree. Special thank you to our producer-director, Mark Spruill. We did a great job here this afternoon. We had a little bit of a technical challenge. We had to restart the show. Some people handled it better than others, and I think Mark probably handled it the best of anyone.
You didn't handle it well at all.
Just to be
excuse me?
You didn't handle it well at all. You got very upset.
Now that's coming from you. I mean, that's coming from you, a guy who's I can hear you when I'm sitting upstairs in my office when something doesn't go well on talk line, and
that's a fair point.
Is the ceiling falling in, or no, that's just Hoppy.
To be clear, the technical difficulties were not Spruill's fault.
Zero.
I don't want anybody listening to think you kind of talked about those two things running up to each other. It had nothing to do with Spruill. He handled it well.
It was internet related. He may have handled it better than I did.
I mean, the technology. Well, never mind.
Well, you do that talk show. Why don't you get some good technology in this state? Get some people with some internet. You can do that. Fix the roads.
Yeah, they look really good right now, don't they?
We'll have a bore.
We'll have the ones in front of the studio.
We'll have a bore recap and a Golden Blues spring game recap on our next episode next week.
If you're here.
Maybe more bore than spring game.
Stay well. Here's shooting at you. See ya.